shores of old Lake Erie stands our alma mater true. Fredonia state we proudly honor, with its colors white and blue. Welcome to our latest podcast, Reflections of Fredonia. Let me introduce myself first. I am Jack Croxton, a former faculty member in the psychology department at SUNY Fredonia. I taught in the department for over 40 years and had many wonderful interactions with students on campus, and it was just a great career. After I retired, I wondered, well, what could I do next? And as I thought about all of the students that I've interacted with over the years, I thought, well, maybe it would be fun to follow up with some Fredonia alumni just to find out what they've done in terms of a career and give them an opportunity to think back on their experiences while they were an undergraduate here. We are broadcasting right here at the Fredonia radio systems on campus. This is Fredonia's student-run radio station.
Hello, my name is Chloe Kowalik. I graduated from Fredonia in May 2024, and I was a double major in journalism and psychology, and I had minors in English and political science, and I'm actually going back to Fredonia next fall for grad school.
For today's podcast, we have a very special guest. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself by telling us your name and when you graduated from Fredonia?
Hi, my name is Shawn Trapp, and I graduated from Fredonia in 2003.
And what did you study while you were a student here?
I studied communications was my major with a specialization in audio production, and my minor was in arts administration.
Oh, cool. Interesting. So, kind of on our podcast, we've had people kind of coming from all over and having different journeys on how, they ended up at Fredonia. So, kind of what was that for you? What made you want to come here?
So I had basically two schools that I wanted to go to. I wanted to go to Fordham University down in the Manhattan campus, and I also wanted to go to Fredonia because it had a strong music program. Even though music was not going to be my major, I wanted to be around a lot of strong music programs, symphony orchestra. I was looking to do classical radio. That was what my dream was in 1999. And I did apply. I visited Fredonia, I should say, in the fall of 1998, and loved the campus, loved everything about it, and then applied for early acceptance and got it. And that the rest of is history at that point.
That's awesome.
So what was your instrument, or what were you involved in music?
So I did do a lot. I started out with a music minor and then switched to arts administration, but
Mhm.
my instrument was piano.
Ah,
Oh, cool.
Mm.
Awesome. Yeah. So we know you used to work here at Fredonia
Yes.
Radio, and you served as a station manager, which I did too, which is
Yep.
awesome. And you had a lot of different things going. So you won Staff Member of the Month and Staff Member of the Year. You won Edward Edelman Edward Edelman Scholarship, and you have a bunch of accomplishments. So I'm just gonna list them off, and then we can kind of go through and talk about them. So
Sure.
you brought back live concert hall broadcasts from King Concert Hall. You hosted classical excursions and co-hosted Political Podium. You presented at the Intercollegiate Broadcasting Systems Conference, which is awesome. And you also chaired an NPR fundraiser to raise $10,000 for enhanced NPR programming on WCVF. So you did a lot for the station. So I would kind of love to just hear about, what it was like for you when you worked here.
Yeah. So I can't take all the credit, and I won't. But I had great mentors my first year at Fredonia Radio Systems. I had people like Rich Bradley, who was the former DVL program director, Jim Breaks, who was the former CVF program director. Nicolette Nichols was the station manager at the time, and I kind of shadowed her to do the station manager position. And Matt Fox was also there. He's kind of big in the radio business now, has been since he graduated 20 some odd years ago. And so I had great mentors. And then, of course, the greatest of all mentors, Dan Bergwin, was my audio professor, and he was the faculty advisor for Fredonia Radio Systems at that time. And so the next year going in, once like the older group graduated, Rich, Nicolette, Matt, all of them graduated. It was kind of up to the next group of people, and we're all motivated. People like Adam Berg, Rashad Atkins, Scott Berman, Jessica Marandola, Chrissy Butler, uh, people on CVF, Jim Briggs, Dan Drago. These were people that, really woke up every day and lived and breathed audio and radio. And so working with that team, we really pursued the betterment of the station. It wasn't easy. There was a lot of internal stuff that went on, as there always is. But at the end of the day, the goal was to make the station better. In the years that we were there, a very short amount of years that we were there. Uh, so that's kind of where like I thrived on other people's um, joy and experience within the radio station. And I think we had a great team, not least of which of all the announcers and hosts and things like that from not only the students, but also from the local community, which was just awesome.
Now, you said you came to Fredonia in 1998, is that right?
1999.
Okay, 1999. So
Mhm.
you would have been here during 9/11, is that right?
That is correct.
What
Yes,
was
yes.
that like being at the radio station during that time?
So the first thing in the morning, I was naturally late to my practicum at Rockefeller Art Center with Jefferson Westwood and Patrick Rossler.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard about 9/11 on the radio because somebody had come into the office and said, "We're under attack." And they turned the radio on. I was listening to a live feed of ABC. Peter Jennings was narrating it as it was going. So my connection in radio was literally finding out on radio. And I left the practicum and headed directly to the radio station at that point, and it was on the television. We had this old, huge box television that weighed like 400 pounds in the office at FRS, and it was on, and people were gathered. People that lived in Long Island and New York City were just, the looks on their face of sheer horror, and I think everybody had that. But at the same time, this is all going on. We're getting information from the university about the buildings are being closed. We're moving on from classes. Classes are canceled. New York State has asked that all state buildings be shut down, so we had to communicate that. So we were going on the air on CVF and giving these short bursts of news. And at that time, it made a decision to pull the programming off of CVF and just put classical music on, not for vanity or anything, but just to provide a calming sense of
Mm-hmm.
during
Mhm.
this whole process that was going on because we didn't know what was going on, and we're trying to intersperse with information for the campus, the community, things like that. It was
Mhm.
it was heart wrenching. I mean, I don't think I'll ever have a date like that in my life ever again. But that was right up there, and I think the decision to put calming music on and to intersperse with needed messages rather than conjecture and things like that was a good decision that we all made that day. But yeah, I saw the second tower get hit on TV and the radio station. I saw the first tower collapse, the second tower collapse, all on the TV and the radio station.
Wow.
Wow, well, I think you made a wise decision in terms
Mm,
of the programming.
yeah.
What has your career looked like since you graduated from Fredonia?
So anything but radio. But as things happen, so after I graduated, we had an economic downturn, and it was very difficult for people that were just graduate, new graduates, to get hired anywhere, much less in the radio business. So I took a job as in a call center for Verizon Wireless and down in Rockland County, and I worked there, and I worked my way up to be a data programming coordinator, and then I left Verizon and returned to. I actually moved up to Rochester with Verizon, and then I returned back downstate. And got a job with United Healthcare, and I worked with United Healthcare for 10 years, doing various jobs with claims and customer service and state issues that were going on with healthcare, and then it's kind of a left turn to into market research. I had worked for a defense contractor for 2 years in market research during the pandemic, and then now I'm a market communication specialist for Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina.
Mm,
So kind of, sort of in the communications realm, but more of the business aspect that I took from my minor in arts administration kind of plays more into what I do. But there's not a day that doesn't go by where I don't think about my time at FRS, and I truly mean that. I sincerely mean that. I miss the folks. I keep in touch with some folks from Fredonia Radio, and it's a joy to have them a part of my life 25 years after the fact.
mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of looking back, did you have any like favorite memories or experiences from when you were a student here?
Yeah, I think one of the things, just going parlaying back to 9/11. So after 9/11, the first opportunity that a lot of us had to go to New York City, uh, even after break, winter break, was we went to IBS in 2002, in
Mm-hmm.
March of 2002, and a bunch of us that were from that area downstate were all together, as all of the program directors, the station manager, general manager, I think, staff representative, were all going to IBS, and we had a strong showing of Fredonia Radio at IBS that year. And what we did on, I can't remember if it was the second, or first or second night that we were there, but we walked from where IBS is, which is Madison Square Garden, all the way down to Ground Zero. And at that point, it was just a
Mm.
giant hole. And I remember we spent probably about 15, 20 minutes just taking it all in. I mean, it
Wow.
was just, we wanted to pay homage. We wanted to do the right thing, but it was a gut punch. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
felt like.
Mhm.
It's a sad memory, but it's also a strong memory, and I appreciate that. Uh, the best memory I have of Fredonia are the people, hands down. Professors, fellow classmates, colleagues, people in the community. I volunteered in the community with the Catholic Church, and it was just the people. And that's what's really special about Fredonia. Not only the college, but also the town, the city, I'm sorry, the town of Fredonia. It's just a great place to have a small college, a place for people to grow. And I hope that everybody does take advantage of their time there and get to know a lot of folks and make those deep connections.
I'm glad to hear that you had such a good experience while attending Fredonia.
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you feel that the time at Fredonia did help to shape your career and where you are today?
I think it did. There's a lot of trial and error when you're that age, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. You make mistakes, you learn from them, you make more mistakes, you learn from those. You do good things, and you celebrate your accomplishments, and then it all kind of ties together to graduation. But you leave college, hopefully, and you leave Fredonia with a respect for other people, respect for the world that you're about to enter into on your own. You take some of the skills that you have, and I had a lot of practical classes that really helped me in not only marketing and communications, but also in other areas that I decided to go into with healthcare and health insurance. So I definitely would say the interpersonal skills, the ability to recognize people where they're at, and to accept people where they're at and for who they are. I think my worldview completely, I don't say changed, but grew as a result of my time in Fredonia. And I will never forget that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, for sure. So, what advice would you offer to current Fredonia students?
I would, I would say it's gonna snow. Just
That's
deal with
right.
it.
That is
If you're
true.
there, it will snow.
Yes.
You will have to go to class in the snow. We're not used to that. You're gonna have to get used to that. But I would say make the most of your relationships. Absolutely. Your housemates, your suite mates or roommate, um, learn to cherish those relationships, and realize you're going to make mistakes and just learn from them. That's what everybody hopes. That's what the adults hope for. That's what the teachers and professors and people in the community hope for. They all know that you're young and things are going to happen, but just learn from those mistakes and really, really cherish those relationships because uh, it, they're a part of who you are. And don't take that time for granted. Really enjoy the time that you have at Fredonia.
I like that.
I would say that's excellent advice. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
well, that just about does it for our interview today. Shawn, is there anything else you would like to add?
I would just say I'm very glad that you're doing this series, and it's great to connect with people from Fredonia and from Fredonia Radio System. So I thank you both.
Great. Thank you so much for appearing on our podcast today. I'm
Thank
Jack
you.
Croxton.
And I'm Chloe Kwolek, and we'll see you in the next podcast.
Sing its glory and its praises. Let them ring forever true. Beloved is our alma mater, Fredonia State